Great day, everyone. Great day, everyone. Hope all is well with you. Welcome to another episode of the Overnight Success Podcast. I'm your host, Diamond McNulty, founder and CEO of McNulty International, creator of the Success Club. And today, I'm extremely excited. I love joining you inside the boardroom. Where we at the Overnight Success Podcast, our focus is to do one thing, is to empower high school and college students to focus on success and succeed in life. And in the process, we hope to inspire some adults as well to let them know that it's still possible for them to succeed as well. It's never too late. And today we got a special guest, a legend, right? He's an actor, a motivational speaker, published author, a serial entrepreneur, and now serves as the director of programming for the Red Ink, which is a nonprofit that gives justice impacted youth a second chance. I want to bring him in. This man has made an impact not only in Atlanta, in the world, but in my life. So come on in, Zeus. Talk to me, Zeus Luby. Welcome. How you doing, brother?
I'm good, brother. It's a pleasure to be here with you, man.
Yeah, pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining me inside the virtual boardroom.
Yes, of course. Got to do that.
Yeah. So today, just to make impact on the youth, you're already doing it. You're in this space all day, every day. So, but just sharing your story, I believe, is going to impact a greater audience, right? And hopefully touch people around the world. But is there anything you want to start off before we get started?
Well, yeah, I just want to thank you for having me on, but more importantly, thank you for being a mentor, a fantastic mentor for our program. Bringing your expertise, your wisdom, your passion, your emotional intelligence to our program, because without individuals like yourself, selfless individuals willing to make that sacrifice for perfect strangers, pouring into the community, that means the world to me. So I'm grateful for you, man. I really appreciate you.
Awesome. That's what we're here for. We're here to impact the youth because we got to leave something behind.
Correct.
We got to that pathway, that roadmap, that feeling that we've poured into something. We got to pour into something. Yeah. And now with your journey to success, man, it's so unique. I was just reading your bio. So let's get to it. If you can, give us your background, right? Where were you born and raised, your upbringing? How was those dynamics?
So born in West Philadelphia. Normally that's followed up by the song, from the Fresh Prince by the older individuals. West Philadelphia, story started in poverty. We lived next to a crack house. Now in Philadelphia, they have row houses. Anybody that's familiar with city life, northern city life, knows what those row houses are. Tiny, cramped, many dilapidated. So we had roaches all in the food, crawling out the floor. You had junkies up and down the block, prostitutes, all of that kind of stuff. That's where my story started in poverty. A lot of my family, were in Philadelphia. So that's what I kind of saw in my early stages. Then we moved down to Georgia. My mother, she wanted to give us a better life, a safer life. So it wasn't as bad as Philadelphia, but it was still just another iteration of poverty, another iteration of struggle. So we came down to Georgia at a fairly young age, and I just kind of made my way from there. But because of the struggle that I saw in my household, watching my mother cry over bills, not knowing how she was going to make ends meet, we constantly had, like, the water would always run cold. So, you had to boil the water drill. We kept candles around the house, because, the lights were going to get cut off on them. So go get the candles. So watching that, it instilled in me a strong, inexhaustible, like inextinguishable desire to help my family. I just wanted to get a job, work so I could support my family, lift my family out of poverty. That was my singular focus. And in addition to that, which was parallel to that, I always had a strong sense of community. So I never wanted to do anything that would harm my community, because for me, I'm thinking, how could I harm other families that are going through what I'm going through? How could I take from individuals who are struggling like I'm struggling from? I don't want to take from this hardworking mother or this hardworking father or these kids that barely have clothes to wear, food to eat, shoes on their feet. So that was my mindset, my perspective from my youngest years. I gotta get a job. I got to work hard so I can help my family, and I got to make sure that I support my community. That's been my dual guiding light.
That's great because you had morals, you had a certain character,
Right.
right? And that awareness allowed you to say, I'm going to do good for my community versus doing bad for my community. And that matters. That matters so much when and it's a driving force of your why with your family behind you.
Yeah.
Man, and that was the same for me as well. And that fuel is never ending.
Exactly.
Oh, oh, I wish they could feel that fuel right there because once you get that,
It changes everything when you have that fuel, that driving force.
mm-hmm,
You have that goal, that
mm-hmm,
goal off in the distance.
yeah,
And so it's the goal and the fuel. When you have that combination, nothing can stop you.
yes. So if you're starting off in that right now, use that as motivation to keep moving forward.
Right.
Now, how was your school dynamics? Middle school, high school? How did you navigate that?
So, mine was given my appearance, as you can see, I'm on the lighter side of things. My hair is lighter, eyes light. So this is, the darkest iteration of me. When I was younger, I was much
Mm-hmm,
lighter. I think for a while my eyes were blue. They changed color,
mm-hmm,
but they were blue. My hair was much lighter. So, coming up in the Black community, the colorism was gruesome,
mm-hmm,
so you got everything: white boy, Goldilocks, albino. And back in that era, I distinctly remember conversations like, there were so many young people that looked like me that were kind of popping up, that seemed to be the byproduct of biracial relationships.
mm-hmm.
We were talking about people that looked like me, like we were like this new race of people. You
Mm,
And there was a lot of hatred and animosity from both ends,
right.
in certain areas, where because everybody felt like, the Black people felt like you're the byproduct of a biracial relationship.
Mm.
They were angry at that coupling, and then the white people were also thinking you are a byproduct of
Wow.
a biracial relationship. So I caught it from both ends.
Mm.
And both of my parents are Black. My father is lighter, and my
Wow.
mother is around your color. So, it was a mislabeling. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes.
So I caught a lot of heat from that, and that actually caused me to develop a pretty ferocious temper coming up, because I
Mhm.
kept catching so much heat on a regular basis due to my appearance. One day I just kind of snapped, and I started
Mhm.
swinging for the fences. And so I was always in a scuffle, always fighting somebody,
Yeah.
knocking somebody out. And so I grew up rough and tumble. I grew up fighting all the time.
Mhm.
Developed a bit of a reputation for, being able to throw a good punch and take a good one. So
Yeah.
at one point, like, the older kids in my neighborhood, they would get me and somebody that outsized me. We would stage a brawl, like in the hallways of my apartments,
Yeah.
and they would bet money to see who would come out on top, and we would just kind of bare knuckle brawl until
Wow.
somebody passed out or got knocked out or gave up. And
Wow.
so that kind of, further built out my reputation, but also taught me how to fight,
Mhm.
how to take a punch, deal with certain levels of punishment, and prepared me for, the next phase of my life that was coming up down the line. So
You're right, right. Well, and it's always good to be able to take a punch and give a punch. So
always.
that's just how it is when you're coming up. And were there any mentors or anyone at that time that you saw as role models?
You know what? So I never really had anything like that, which is why I'm such an advocate for it now, because that was missing. You know, all we had in my neighborhoods were the dope boys and the gang members and things like that. And so those were the individuals that everybody else was looking up to. Now, I didn't look
Mm,
up to them
mm,
because I was aware of what they were doing. They had a lot of respect for me. They would take me under their wing because they saw I was a fighter. They saw I was scrappy. They saw that I would, go toe to toe with anybody, no matter how old or how big. So they respected that. So they looked out for me. I was everybody's little man. But I didn't look to them for guidance. I would never
mm,
ask them questions because I'm like, you
yeah.
hustling.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Right.
I didn't have that. I didn't have that in the church. I didn't have that in my household. Like my stepfather, he was a terrible example. My biological father, he was largely absent in my
Mm,
formative years. And then, even when he came around, he wasn't a good example. So I I think that my perspective was different than a lot of
mm,
my peers because my standard for a mentor was higher than most. It
mm,
wasn't
mm.
just who had material wealth or
Right.
who was just physically fit or who did well with the ladies. I was looking for substance because I started planning on what kind of father I wanted to be and what kind of husband I wanted to be in single digit years. So I
Mm,
was looking for a good example to follow. And because I didn't have that in my community, I plucked from fictitious characters because I knew, like,
mhm,
I think Bill Cosby,
mhm.
that example, that not the real life, but
Right.
the Huxtable example, I knew that that was attainable. I knew that was possible. I
Yeah.
didn't have that in real life. So I was like, all right, I'm just going to cobble together an example, for
Mm,
myself because I knew what I wanted. And so
right.
I also developed this habit of this system where if I met somebody, they might be 99.9%, bad,
Mm,
but they
mhm,
might have one trait that is,
mm,
they might have exceptional drive or
mm.
stick-to-itiveness. Now I say, okay, I'm going to extract that quality. I'm going to learn it, study it, adopt it, make it my
Yeah.
own, and grow. And so I did that with the different people that I would meet, because
Yeah.
I didn't have this fully formed, solid example that I could fully follow. And so I just kind of did that throughout my life and built myself into what I wanted, what I didn't have.
Yeah, but that's awesome that you had that awareness to catch the good and remove the bad, right? Take that meat off that bone and throw the bone over there. So,
Right. Yeah.
I just need this good. But that's what's needed as a young man if you don't have those potential role models. You want to be able to pull things and put it together. You got to be aware what's good and what's bad. You have to understand that. Did you have any passions at that age? Like, what were some of your gifts?
So I had a gift when I was young. The first gift that I identified was a gift to draw.
Mm,
So my mother was a really fantastic artist. My biological father, he was a solid artist. They both, went to art school, art colleges.
yeah.
My father finished. My mother didn't finish, and my mother was the more talented between the two. But their talent combined granted me a really amazing gift to create art. And so I grew up
Mm,
drawing, drawing comic books, things like that, entering art competitions. And I landed my first professional job at the age of 12.
wow.
And so my father, he got his degree. Him and my mom separated. He became a graphic designer.
Yeah.
And so he worked for different firms, and he would have to find sketch artists to create original art that he would modify for different.
Mm,
And he came up with an idea because he was watching my talent, evolve. And I'd gotten to a point where he felt like my art was good enough to be on a professional level.
Yeah.
So what he did was he had this a contract, and he could have just used clip art, but he
Yeah.
wanted original art. And so he told me about the job. He said, all right, this is what I want you to draw. I drew it. I sent it to him. He submitted it to the contractor, to the client. And they were like, oh, wow, this is
Yeah.
amazing. This is exactly what we're looking for. And he was like over the moon, excited,
Mm.
and he wasn't paying attention. And they were like, who's the artist? He was like, that's my son.
Mm.
And they were like, wow, that's amazing. I know you're proud. And they asked how old I was, and he, not thinking, said he's only 12. And they were,
Mm.
oh, you know what? We can't use his work because he's too young to work legally.
Mm.
Uh, So
Wow.
he came back to me. He was like, I'm sorry, I dropped the ball. He was like, but I want to give it another shot. He was like, draw a different iteration of this same thing, and then I'm going to submit it, and I'm going to tell them that somebody else drew it. So
Yeah.
my next piece, they were like, "Oh, we love this. This is great. And who did this?"
Yeah.
Somebody else. He was like, they were like, it looks kind of similar to the. He's like, yeah, because you guys like that his art style so much. I told this other artist to use his art style, and so he was able to get us over the hump. And I ended up, I think I drew like 5 different pieces
Wow.
at 12 for different credit unions to use in their advertising campaigns, their
Wow.
pamphlets that they would send out to the clients and customers. So there's people across these different states that have my artwork in their houses somewhere. Now, listen, individuals, that's going to be worth something one day. So you find it and hold on to it.
Right. And send you a copy too, so you can so
Yeah.
you can see it. No, that's wonderful, because when I talk to the youth, right, I want them to be able to identify their gifts,
Right.
right? I think that's so important. That's step one. You got to identify it before you can even activate it and test it out or go to school and develop it. You got to identify it. So the fact that you were able to identify that and then activate it, right?
Yeah.
And so that's so unique. What kind of student were you? What kind of grades did you have in middle school and high school?
So in middle school, I was, and I had really amazing grades starting
Mhm.
off. I went to a rough school,
Yeah.
but my teachers saw that I was like just a whiz academically.
Mm.
And I would finish up my work, and then I would just be sitting there because I finished before everybody else. And I was just having this conversation with a friend of mine a couple of days ago. I ended up being labeled as a class clown, or became a class clown, because I finished up so fast. I was bored. And so
Mm.
I'm clowning with the kids who don't have the ability to even finish their work,
Mm.
and getting in trouble because I'm not being challenged enough. And so the school contacted my mother and said, listen, your son is really advanced, and we want to offer him to be in, advanced classes.
Yeah.
Well, she came to me and asked me what I wanted to do. And I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. I want to stay
Mm.
with friends. And so I passed it up. She shouldn't have given me the option. She should have,
Yeah.
you're going to advanced classes. I don't care what you're talking about.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to be around the cornballs and the nerds and all of that. I was like, man, it's gonna be boring, not thinking about the benefits and things, the academic benefits. So
Right.
when I stayed in those regular classes and I kept getting in trouble, it started to derail
Mm.
my academic career. And so what happened, what I didn't understand at the time, because when I was in elementary school, I was a whiz in every subject, in particular math. I was a math.
Mm.
But when I got to junior high, because I kept getting in so much trouble, I missed a few steps. And so when I got to high school, I couldn't get back on track with math, because what I didn't understand at the time is math is not like any other subject. Every other subject you can pick up anywhere. And as long as
Right.
you pay attention, you learn, regurgitate, you're good. Math, you can't miss a step. Every step kind of it builds on itself. And if you
Mm-hmm.
step, that's a bridge that's not there and you can't get to the other side. And so that's what I experienced in high school. And when I'm looking at the class and I'm like, how are y'all figuring this out?
Right.
I can't make heads nor tails of it. And I'm thinking I used to be a whiz at this, so I started to question my academic ability. And so
Mm,
when I wasn't performing well in math, I just kind of said forget it to everything, you know?
mm,
And so then my grades plummeted. So I went from, straight A's in elementary school to being a little shifty C's, B's, D's in junior high to
mm-hmm.
like F's, D's, and C's in high school. So my grade point average in high school at one point was like 1.6.
Mm,
And it wasn't because I wasn't capable, it's
yeah.
because I thought I wasn't capable.
Mm,
And so it took for me to go to a summer school.
mm-hmm.
I went to summer school, and when I went to summer school, I think his name was Mr. Burney. He was the math teacher. And summer school is when it hit me that it was, oh, I missed a step. And so when he taught me the step I missed, the math whiz kicked back in summer school. And I was the first one finishing. And it got to a point where I was coming up with alternate ways in formulas to get the same answer. And so I developed my own formula, presented it to the teacher. He tested it. We tested it together. And then I taught it to the class. So
Mm,
that was a huge lesson for me to show how, your ability,
yeah.
if it doesn't matter how capable you are, if your confidence is not there, you could have a brilliant student that could be crashing and burning, getting F's, and they might be getting bad grades because their confidence is not there.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that they're dumb. They don't need to be in special classes or anything like that. They just need to understand where they drop the ball, or they just need a confidence boost. Confidence.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
I went to summer school. Then I had to go to alternative school for my last year of high school, and I got a 4.0 and graduated high school early.
Wow. Wow. When you
So
think about that,
yeah,
the same thing happened to me. My mother said, keep him busy. Keep him busy, teacher, because he'll get in trouble.
mhm,
But one thing that you pointed out, and I don't want the audience to let it go, is take advantage of that opportunity. As you mentioned, when that
yeah,
opportunity came about for you to take that leap to that next level and get into those accelerated classes, you said, I don't know. Nah, I'm okay.
right.
But take advantage of that opportunity because that will propel you. Who knows, right?
Exactly,
Who
exactly.
knows? Who knows? Hello, my name is Diamond McNulty, and I want to welcome you to the McNulty International Success Club, where we help youth and adults create their personal success plans to achieve their dreams in life. Visit McNultyInternational.com today and register. And I look forward to seeing each and every one of y'all inside the boardroom. Now, how as you're navigating high school and here you are graduating and crushing it, what was the dynamics for your graduation and college and all of those things? How were you thinking about life at that moment?
So when I was in high school, because I was struggling academically, there was no thought of college. I knew I wasn't going to make it to college.
Mm,
That was off the radar, off the table.
mm,
And then when what led me to going to alternative school was when I was in high school, I told you my goal was to support my family.
mhm,
So I've always had an entrepreneurial spirit and mindset.
mm,
And so I came up with a business model because at the time I couldn't really, I worked at KFC,
mhm.
also worked at Target, but I didn't have transportation. And so my job was like, a couple miles away. So that really wasn't sustainable. So
Yeah.
I got to come up with another way to generate income to help my family. So I came
Mhm,
plan to sell candy.
Yeah.
Who want to sell drugs? There's a lot of
You're
people selling drugs. I was like, I'm not selling drugs. I got to come up with something else. I came up with candy because coming back from, the hoods of Atlanta, you
mm-hmm.
always a candy man or a candy lady in the neighborhood. You go to the certain, door, knock, knock, what you got, boom, boom, boom. So I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I can do that here because at the time my school wasn't selling candy like that. So I was like,
Mm.
on the market. So I came up with a business plan, pricing for everything, what products I was going to sell. And I pitched it to my mom. I was like, listen, this is what I want to do. I just need like an upfront investment. I can get you your money back in this amount of time, so forth and so on. So she laughed, but she took me to the store. She made the investment. And in a week's time, I was able to give her money back.
Yes.
I was off to the races. And so
Mm.
I did really good business. I had really popular products. I would modify my products if I saw that the popularity was dropping or something new came out. I'd bring that in. And of course, back then there was no PayPal, no Cash App, no Venmo.
Right.
So you had to keep cash on you. So
Mm.
I was making great money. I was able to start buying my own clothes, my own shoes.
Mm.
So that took that burden off my parents' shoulders.
Right.
And then I offered my mother money, but she wouldn't take it because I was her son. So I would just kind of sneak in her purse every now and again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I loved, hearing her find that money and like, oh my God, thank God I needed this money. I didn't need her to know it came from me. I just wanted her to have it. So I felt good. I was like, man, I'm doing well.
Right.
I got money in my pocket and I started saving up so I could get a job. And one day I was in the back of the class, kind of counting my change, trying to make sure I had change for my clients. And I felt somebody watching me. And when
Mm.
I looked up, I see somebody, they like, but I already knew what was coming. I knew they were going to be, setting me up to be robbed. And so after class, that's exactly what happened. Some kids tried to rob me in broad daylight in front of the teachers, in front of everybody.
Wow.
They didn't get what they were looking for, but the fact that they tried to rob me, because one came up from behind, kind of choking me around my throat, covering my eyes,
Mm.
while the other one was rifling through my pockets. Once my brothers and my friends found out what happened and who did it, they created a war between the people who set me up and my people. And that war just kind of spiraled into
Mm.
chaos at the school to the point where it were like 15, 20 people trying to jump me at any given time. I
Mm.
ride the bus home. I couldn't walk home because they had planned on setting me up. So I had to, only way I could get home in one piece was getting a ride from a friend of mine who was a little older, who had a car and a job in my neighborhood. And I had to, like, as soon as the last bell rang, I had to be outside in the car. And this went on for some weeks until one day the teacher and we got into a verbal dispute due to a misunderstanding. The teacher
Mm.
did something. We got into it, and the teacher said, "I'm keeping you after school." And I was like, "Oh, why? You can't. That I would die. That'll kill me. If I stay after school, them 15, 20 people are going to catch me." And at the time, they were wrapping padlocks around their
Oh,
knuckles like brass knuckles, and they were
wow.
hitting people like that. So
Wow.
you're not catching me like that. So when the bell rang and I tried to leave, the teacher like blocked the door and wouldn't let me leave. And I was like,
Mm-hmm.
you can't hold me hostage.
Mm-hmm.
Write me up, give me detention, but you got to move. And so we went back and forth for a few minutes. My buddy was on the other side of the door. He was like, man, listen, I got to go. And when he disappeared, I lost it. I'm thinking I'm about to get left. So I ended up, you know, grabbing the teacher, slamming the teacher into the wall, almost breaking the teacher's hand, and then leaving. And that led to like 5 different charges, me getting expelled from school.
Wow.
And thankfully I beat the charges, but
Mm.
that decimated my grades, which led me to go to alternative school,
Mm-hmm.
summer school and alternative school, just so I could graduate on time.
Right.
But the results of the case, even though I beat the charges and I didn't do any time, I was banned from the school for a year. So I couldn't go to a prom. I couldn't walk in the ceremony or anything like that. And then at the alternative school, I ended up getting into a verbal dispute with the security, and the police chased me off campus. So I was banned from there too. So I couldn't graduate with them either. So I wasn't able to do all the graduating and stuff.
But when you think about it, looking back, right, all of those different dynamics, it allows you to give advice to those that are coming behind you, you know? So what advice would you give a high schooler nowadays?
I mean, so as you said before, you know, if you have any opportunities, programs, advancement programs or special programs, you know, take full advantage of that stuff. Don't pass it up so that you can be cool, or don't worry about being judged, people thinking that you're a nerd or a cornball or whatever, doing that stuff. All of that stuff is stupid. What you have to overcome is the peer pressure of the moment, the judgment that you feel in the moment. I implore school students, really focus on your future. Like, don't succumb to momentary pressure or engage in momentary enjoyment, temporary enjoyment that is going to derail your future happiness, your future contentment. Because if you make a wild decision in high school, that could prevent you from getting a great job down the line. If you make a wild decision in high school, that could leave you with a charge that could limit your earning potential for the rest of your life. I mean, so do your best not to succumb to peer pressure. Talk to somebody, think your way through it. Do not make decisions based on peer pressure. I don't care what it is. I don't care how minor the decision is. Don't make decisions based on peer pressure. And peer pressure is for goofballs. Now, what I would do when people would try to pressure me into smoking, drinking, doing something reckless, you know, to somebody, saying something, doing something to a teacher, whatever, it didn't matter. If I tell you, no, I'm not doing that, and you say, "Oh, you scared, you lame, you corny," now see what I did was I was like, "Wait, hold on, you trying to pressure me? Did you hear what I just said to you?" Now, if you ask, that's disrespectful. If you ask me again, then I'm gonna hit you. If you ask me again, I'm gonna hit you in your mouth. If you ask me again. So I took it as disrespect. I took peer pressure as disrespect because peer pressure is manipulation. And so you have change your perspective. Peer pressure is manipulation. Okay. So if somebody says, "Oh, won't you do this?" They want you to do it for their entertainment, for their enjoyment. And if you say, "Nah, it's look, he's scared, she's scared," or something like that, they're trying to manipulate you. So when somebody's trying to manipulate you, that means they think they're smarter than you. That means that in that moment, at least in that moment, they think you're stupid enough to do what they're telling you to do with just a little bit of, persuasion. So I want you to take peer pressure as disrespect, and I want you to respond to peer pressure in that manner. Take great offense when somebody tries to peer pressure you, because that's manipulation. So take advantage of whatever academic opportunities your teachers or your school presents to you. That's going to help you earn more money in the future in one way or another.
Yes.
And make sure that you don't get caught up in experiencing temporary enjoyment that will derail future happiness, and make sure that you take peer pressure as disrespect. Those 3 points.
Now that's so important. And a lot of times they say, okay, well, if I get in trouble, then I'll just become my own boss. And I got to tell you too, to add on what you're saying, when we were going into the school systems with our company, it was, you got to take background checks. You got to, they want to know if you've been in trouble before. So you, at some point when you're growing something, you can't get around your history.
Correct.
So make the right decisions now.
And to that point, like you say, the highest levels of financing, funding, contracts come, and you got corporate, and then you got like federal government. the higher up you get into those higher echelons of earning potential, the more scrutiny there is. Scrutiny meaning they're going to be checking your background. See if you
Yes.
ever did anything, because see, if they align themselves with you as a business owner, because first of all, owning a business is tough. Everybody's not built for entrepreneurship. But if you are a successful business owner and you can stomach it when you're trying to go get those big contracts,
Oh yeah.
now they're like, all right, we want to make sure that there's no scandal in your background, no criminal charges, no criminal history, because we don't want to look bad.
Yes.
So if you make a wild decision in high school, that could prevent you from making hundreds of thousands of dollars, millions of dollars, 5, 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 years down the line.
Yes.
Me and an example of that is I got a buddy, just to show how backgrounds are problematic. So my buddy, he's successful. He beat the odds. He's a hard worker. He's exceptional. He had a criminal background, but he made it work. He had a family, kids. He went through a divorce, and mind you, he's almost 50 when this is happening. He goes through a divorce. He lets his wife and the kids stay in the house. He goes to get an apartment, and he gets denied. And he's like, "Why are you denying me?" He said, "Well, you got something on your criminal history." And he was like, "That's from 20 something years ago." You're like, "So?" And he was like, "I got over $1 million in my bank account. So we don't want your money. Get out of here. Get out of here. Couldn't even get an apartment." You know? So yeah, don't make no wild decision. Trying to be cool, trying to impress your friends, you know what I'm saying? Just keep it clean so you can earn money, then impress your friends down the line. Okay.
Right. And that's so important. And I think that, coming from you too, right? Because of the trajectory that you were on to now being able to guide the youth that you're doing today is crucial, because you can speak the real to them.
Yeah. Yeah. Been there, done that, seen
it. and so as I was reading everything about you, it was so cool. So how did we navigate? Here we are in high school, we're navigating those dynamics, and we're looking for the next phase of life. How did you get into acting, speaking, author? How did all that come about?
Man, all of that stuff was like haphazard, unexpected. It was born from necessity. So we talked about me finding out about my gift in art, just by trying different things when I was younger. But there was a lot left on the table. I wasn't exploring a ton of things when I was younger. I was just, like I said, because my goal was just to get a good job, work hard, and lift my family out of poverty. And so I had a good job coming out of high school. And I didn't know that I had something on my criminal record at the time. You know what I mean? So I got this job. I'm working. I'm helping to build trains from the local transit system here in Georgia, MARTA. So I'm making good money, and I'm able to save up some money. And I'm like, this is it. I'm gonna work here. I'm gonna retire, and that's the end of my road. No aspirations beyond that. Zero aspirations beyond that. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna be here for 30, 40 years, and I'm gonna retire with a pension. That's it. No acting, motivational speaking, author. Forget it. I don't even know what that is. So when life fell apart for me, like when I left that good job thinking I was going to get a better job, and every door was shut in my face, and then I found out I had this felony conviction that was mistakenly put on my record that decimated my potential. Then it was about survival. My savings dried up, lost my car, so I had to start from scratch as a convicted felon. And so I had to make a way out of no way, as is often said. I just took whatever job. Remember, I still had this strong sense of community. So I'm looking at it like the weak way out is, let me just sell drugs. Anybody can do that. That's the weak and the easy way out. All right, I'm gonna do something illegal, and I'm gonna potentially harm somebody else. I'm either gonna jeopardize my freedom by taking this easy route, or if I'm selling something harder, now I'm harming my community if I'm selling anything harder than weed. Okay, so both of them are weak and easy ways out, right? I was like, no, I ain't doing that. I'm not doing that. I can't help my family if I'm incarcerated. I'm gonna help my family if I'm locked up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, all right. So I'm doing whatever I can do. I've operated in over 30 some odd different professional capacities. I've been a janitor. I've been an overnight building cleaner. I've been a bricklayer's apprentice. I've built bridges. I've been on a construction demolition team. I've been a limousine driver. I've been a cart pusher. I've been a grocery bagger. I've been a cashier. I've been a maintenance man. I've been, in-store security. I've been a bodyguard. I've been, personal trainer. I've done. So what I was doing was I was doing whatever I could. I'm a mechanic, I did body work. And so then I found out that I had this felony on my record shortly after I found out I had a child on the way. And so once a child came into the picture, I was like, I got to get something stable. I got to get some stability. I can't be all over the place. And so my brother helped me land this security job at the airport. And that's the job that finally told me what was on my background. That's how I found out that I had something. So I was a convicted felon for almost 7 years. And so I just got into the field of security. Like club security was the only job that I could get without a heavy background check that would actually grant me some stability. So that gave me a foundation to actually take care of my daughter, take care of myself, put me on solid ground. But it wasn't enough income to really, at the time, to do a ton of things. So I had to supplement it with, all right, I'm gonna start this business and that business and this business, and I'm gonna do this. And anytime somebody was like, "Hey, do you know somebody that does A, B, and C?" I do. I can do it. I'm gonna figure it out. I just need this money. I'm gonna figure it out. Oh, can you fix I can fix it. This thing at the house, I can do it. So I just tried whatever I could to make ends meet, and that's how I found out about all these different things. Somebody would say, a friend of mine was like, "Hey, they're looking for football players for this TV show, and because of your build, I think you would be good for it." I'm like, okay, how much they paying? I'm like, all right, sign me up. And so I ended up on a TV show, and they paid. And then so everywhere I went, my mindset, and this is a lesson to young people out there. Because I teach my daughter who's 21 now. I've been teaching her how to network since she was like 10.
Yeah.
You network. No matter what job you're on, it could be a raggedy, Rudy Pool garbage job. It could be a McDonald's. It doesn't matter. You never know from the people that come to the establishment to the people that you're working with. You don't know where they're going, who they're going to. You don't even know who they're connected to. You don't know who their family is. You don't know who their family knows. The patrons that come to the establishment you're working at, you don't know who those people are, and you don't know who they're connected to. So it behooves you. It's wise to always be in a mindset of building relationships, not making enemies. Relationships, not making enemies. I hated the majority of the jobs that I had. I couldn't stand them. Especially because I knew I was better than that, and I was forced into this position. So I was angry. But every job I had, I worked it like I loved it because I wanted to make sure that I showed up because I knew I don't know who these people are. And I don't want to be remembered poorly. I don't want to create enemies.
Yeah.
This is a stepping stone, but I'm going to leave a good impression. And I did that. With every job I had, I did that. And that has benefited me. Now, those people from my past, a lot of them are doing phenomenal things. You never would have thought. Just like the people that were working with me at KFC and Target, and when I was at building monitor trains, they had no idea I was going to become an actor, a motivational speaker, an author, a director of programming for a nonprofit organization. So you don't know what people are going to evolve into. So when you have these jobs on your way up, treat people well, build relationships. You don't have to be best friends with everybody, but just build a solid relationship. So 5, 10, 15 years down the line, they might be like, hey, man, it's good to see you. I remember you from AFC. Hey, how you doing? What you doing now? Oh, I'm just CEO of a global bank. You know what I'm saying? Nothing, nothing major. You follow me?
Yeah, I'm just the CEO of the global bank.
Of one of the top Fortune 500 companies, in the country. You know what I'm saying? No big deal. So
Yeah.
I've learned that's been a crazy lesson to see people evolve and to see like, I remember you bagging groceries. Now you doing this. Is you working for the mayor or you running for office? So yeah, man, it's been a wild journey. So me finding these different talents, it was a byproduct of just trying different things. I might be terrified, nervous. I'm gonna do it anyway because I got to get this money. And so that's taught me. I've raised my daughter on that, like just expose her to different things to see what her gifts are. Because even if, and I just told this to the class this month, even if you don't enjoy it, you still might be great at it. You might be exceptional at it, and you can turn it into a stream of income or a business.
Yeah.
And so there's plenty of things I found out that I was great at. I didn't love it. It wasn't my passion, but it generated income.
Yeah.
So that's how I found out about all of this stuff, just trying things.
Yeah, and navigating those different dynamics. You hit on so many things in what you just said because it's really testing out. You were testing out. You were R&D is what I call it, research and development. And you got to figure it out. Sometimes you got to throw things on the wall because you don't know. You just don't know until you test it out. And two other things that you touched on is showing up as your best self always, no matter what job you're at. I worked at KFC too, right? I worked at KFC and 2 hotels at the same time. But that doesn't, yeah. So you never know what someone is going to, who they're going to become, right?
That's crazy.
And don't burn bridges.
Don't burn no bridges now.
Don't burn no bridges because you may have to cross over again. It ain't there no more.
Well, you may want to crossover, and then you burn that bridge. Now you're looking on the other side like,
yeah, God, sick.
Right.
Sick. And when you think about that too, here you are now being able to pour into so many youth. So how did the organization come about? Because you've positioned yourself in the marketplace, becoming who you became, right? This amazing figure of impact, right? Empowering the youth, making a difference all of Atlanta, all of Georgia, and beyond that too. You show up and everybody knows you for being that figure.
Yeah.
How did the organization come about, and how did you get into that space?
So it was a wild journey because, like I said, I was a serial entrepreneur. So I had a holdings company with a former business partner. He was an attorney. And our company basically endeavored to either create or identify products that we could initially bring to market by way of companies like Living Social, Groupon at the time. And that came from my business partner's background. He was doing it on a very small scale. And I encouraged him to we can do this on a much larger scale. He might pull in $2,000 to $4,000 from his business dealings. I'm like, listen, we can pull millions from these businesses if orchestrated properly. So we started a company, found a product, put it on the market, and then we began to try to develop our own products. And I came up with a concept, again, always thinking about community. There were a few things that inspired me to create this, but the one main thing was when I would go to court as a Black man, I would go to court in the Black community, I would see that we really didn't understand the law, and we were at the mercy of whatever judge was present. And if we got a good judge, then the people in there would get treated well. If there was a bad judge, then people would get railroaded. So I wanted to create a mechanism by which the Black community and minorities could attain legal representation more seamlessly and for a cheaper cost. So I came up with this concept. At the time, it was called Auto Law Pro. And so what you would do is, if you got a citation, traffic citation, you would go into our app, you would take a picture of the citation, upload it to the app front and back, and then you would select what category the citation fit with under: speeding ticket, parking ticket, whatever. And then you would pick a radius: 5 miles, 10 miles, 20 miles, 50 miles, 100. And that radius, that the app would send out an email blast with all your personal information and images of the ticket and citation and the type of citation to all the attorneys in that radius that you selected, that service the kind of ticket you selected. And so these attorneys would get your information, and then it would create a competitive space where the attorneys would begin to vie for this client base. And because it's multiple attorneys trying to get this influx of clients, it would drive the price down. They would say, all right, I'm going to take it from, this would normally be $300. I'm going to offer it for $200. My service. I want to undercut my competition. And so it would make legal representation more affordable for Black people and minorities, so that we could go to court with attorneys and not get railroaded. Because I've had situations where a ticket that should have only cost $150 ballooned to like $700 just because the judge wanted it to be. And the judge was like, listen, you know what? I'm a charge you like this is a DUI charge. I was like, what? He was like, what you gonna do about it? Yeah, what you gonna do about it? You in my courtroom. So a lot of judges treat their courtrooms like miniature countries. And so if you don't have legal representation to protect you and keep that judge in check, then you can get treated any kind of way. You can get hit with any kind of fine, and there's nothing you can do about it. There's no recourse. So that app was, an incredible concept. We built it out over a period of a year and some change. We landed some developers. We launched it in 2015, well, late 2014, and we ended up getting in contact with a tech CEO that worked for Google. My former business partner, he met the guy out in law school out in California. And so he reached out to him, sent him our app, and he loved the concept. So there was a meeting had with him in Silicon Valley. He loved it, and he said the app was worth like, a few $1 million, with no downloads. And so the app, picked up a lot of steam and momentum. And so from that app, we started to, think a little bit further. And what we do was kind of get into the third-party processing space. So like when you pay a traffic citation, it'll take you from the county website to the processing website. And then that processing company takes a fee. So we wanted to get into that space. So in getting into that space, my former business partner knew David Lee Windicher, knew him. He would always get him to handle his traffic citations. And he was telling me about him. He was like, man, this guy's story is similar to yours. Along well. And so we pulled him on as a contractor, pulled David on as our contractor to help us get into this third-party processing space, because he was always in the courtrooms. And so I hadn't met David in person. It was just phone conversations. And so then me and my business partner, we decided to go our separate ways. We settled things and parted. And about a year after that, ended up running into David at the gym. And I recognized his voice and when he said his name. And then we connecting on a personal level. And then he invited me to a book signing. I went out there. We got even deeper. And then he started telling me about his vision for the community. Meeting at a Chick-fil-A, talked for hours, and then decided to join forces. Now, at the time, I already had a nonprofit called the A to Z Project. I had been in the community, started it with a friend of mine. He ended up passing shortly after we launched it. And so I was holding it, on my own as executive director. So I was running that. And then David was like, listen, I just incorporated, my nonprofit.
Mhm.
I can't build it without you. You have the experience to build the mentorship program. So will you do this with me? And I was like, of course. So we started
Mhm.
the organization up together, starting in like 2016, 2015, 2016. And I was kind of running both at the same time, and it just became too much. And so I shuttered the A to Z project and poured all my attention into Red. And so
Yeah.
we just kept going from there.
Wow. Wow. And it's a full circle, because here you know that's life. Life is a full circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here
Crazy.
you are coming up in a certain environment, you know, overcoming certain obstacles, achieving success in so many areas, right? Here you are, because you were throwing things on the wall and figuring it out, and you had the energy and you had responsibilities now, and you're like, I got to be that man, right? I got to be that leader, that family, that pillar in the community. And then it positions you, and this is what I want most of the youth to understand. You will reach a point where you will be positioned to make a greater impact in the lives of others.
Yeah.
That's the sweet spot, because now it's not about you. It's not
Correct.
about, it's about, okay, now I have me, I have developed this. Now, how can I service and support others?
Yeah, exactly. And you know, that helped me understand that once I started, because I didn't understand why I got this felony conviction on my record, you know,
Mm,
because I was the voice of reason in my community. I was the one always talking to my peers, telling them, listen, man, you got to stop selling drugs. You got to stop doing this and doing that. You're hurting your community. I don't want to see you locked up. And so
mm,
I caught the felony. And that just led to one thing after the other. So I kept getting arrested, kept going to jail. It created a cycle.
mm.
And every time I turn around, I'm in jail. I'm like, I'm the one who was trying to stay out the system. So I was angry for a long time. And it wasn't until I started using my experiences and my story to help other people that I began to understand the why. And I began to get a release, and I began to heal and recover and be able to release that anger, because it helped me understand why. Because I always wanted to have an impact in the community.
Mhm,
I didn't know what I was asking for. I didn't know, but I needed this lived experience to
mhm,
do what I wanted to do. I couldn't connect with the kids in the program and in the community if I wasn't relatable.
mhm.
I mean, because if good intentions are not enough, and I tell people that all the time, good intentions are not enough. Like the
Yeah.
desire to help is not enough. You have to have the ability to help. You have to qualify to be able to help. You know,
Yes.
so my experiences qualify me to do what I'm doing now.
And that's special too. So we are here on the Overnight Success Podcast, and then I like to tell the youth that things just don't happen overnight. This is not the microwave era, right? So that's what they say. It's the quote unquote microwave era, but things don't work like that.
Yeah.
Overnight, things happen when you work that 9 to 5, and then you got to sometimes work that 5 to 9. Again, you got to put in that double time.
Yeah.
What were some of your overnight moments where you had to put in that overdrive to achieve certain things?
I mean, I feel like that's been it's been since my daughter was born. It's
Mhm.
been that, taking whatever opportunity that's presented to me, never feeling like, oh, I'm too good for that. And I'm
Mhm.
not working that job. Listen, give it to me. Give it to me. So it was funny because when the pandemic hit, I didn't even realize how tired I was
Mhm.
until there was nothing to do. And so I just let my body rest for the first time in like 16 years, because once my daughter came, it was like, nah, I gotta hustle. So I was working 7 days a week. I was going from job to job, contract to contract, and then managing, like staying in shape on top of that, because staying in shape for me wasn't just about looking good. Staying in shape has allowed me to burn the candle on both ends so that I can get more out of my day. So it's
Mhm.
made me more efficient. When
Mhm.
everybody's like, well, how are you juggling parenthood, all of this, like staying in shape? and all of these different things, like you're a motivational speaker, or you're working 7 days a week, and you're holding down all of these jobs and working twice a day. Like, how you doing all of that? I'm like, fitness. Yeah,
The energy.
my machine is more efficient. You know what I mean? With less sleep. You know what I mean? So I've had overnight moments for decades.
Yeah.
Whatever opportunity is presented to me, I'm going for it. I might
Wow.
be tired. I'm pushing through. I'll be at the gym, falling asleep on the bench. Wake up, finish my reps, and then, making sure I had enough time and energy to spend time with my daughter. So I might stay up late with my daughter so that we can spend sufficient quality time, and my sleep takes the hit on the back end. But I gotta spend that time. I gotta stay in shape. I gotta get my work done, manage the businesses, the organizations, all of that.
Yeah. And you have that energy to win too, right? Because you had that desire from a young age, that fire was lit. Once that fire is lit, it don't go out.
No, that is inextinguishable, man. It ain't going nowhere.
It don't stop. And that's, you need that. Is there any last minute words that you would like to leave with our audience? This was awesome.
Well, again, I'm grateful to be here. Proud of you. Super proud of you, man. All the things that you're doing, pouring back into the community. So one of the things that I want to say, there is no truly successful life. You're not at the height of success, nor the height of happiness, if you're not devoting some portion of your life to helping others. And when I say helping others, I don't mean just family members and friends and people you love and care about. I mean the community. Okay. There's so much need out here, so many different areas of need, whether it's young people or elderly or whatever. If you are not incorporating some kind of selfless aspect into your life, you will never reach the highest levels of success. The highest levels of success are not rooted in material wealth and money and bank accounts. That has been proven. There are plenty of wealthy people that are strung out on drugs, miserable, alcoholics, suicide attempts on a regular basis. So we all know that money and material wealth is not the key to happiness. Your relationships, your human to human interactions, how you treat people, how people treat you, that's where it's at. And so when you pour into other people, when you help other people without the expectation of return, when you do that from a genuine place, what that does to you internally, psychologically, right? Even on the spiritual level, what that does is indescribable. And you can only secure that by doing that. There's nothing else that you can replace that with or substitute that with. All right. Pouring into other people from a genuine place, just doing good because good needs to be done, helping people because you want to see them live a better life. You have to incorporate that in your life, and you can start at any age. I know some people that have been starting community projects from the age of 9, 10. So it's not about age. It's not about resources. You don't have to have a car. You don't have to have a job. You don't have to have none of that. You don't have to be an adult. You know what I mean? You don't have to have a large bank account. All you need is the desire. And if you have a genuine desire, there's so much need out here. You can find a way to help other people. So find some way to pour back into other people, pour back into the community. That's why.
That is awesome. Walk in your purpose. Get involved. Get involved.
When you get involved, you'll find your purpose on that journey.
Yes. Well, I got to thank you. This just touched my spirit, right? So I can't wait to watch it again. I'm already anticipating watching it again. So I got to thank you for joining me today and just sharing your journey, because I know it's going to empower so many high schools, so many youth, just in general, on their journey, let them know what's possible in life. And this is the trajectory. Right. This is the roadmap, right? This is a roadmap that you can look to for guidance on your own journey. So use it, watch it, take notes, pay attention. Just know that anything is possible if you believe in yourself, right? Create a plan, take action, and never give up. So Zeus, I got to thank you again for joining me inside of the boardroom. I hope everyone loved this episode. Comment below, and I'll see you next time, Zeus, inside the boardroom. Y'all have a wonderful day, y'all. Take care. Thank you.
Brother.